excited to see you all. There we go. The big recording voice is here. Please, as you're coming in, we would love to know where in the world you are. So please start in the chat telling us where in the world you are. Um, and as you are getting settled, please also, I suggest put yourself on grid view because we really take the community aspect of today very seriously. And so being able to see all the faces and then decentering the speaker as part of the group instead of some amazing phantom, I don't know, on your screen is very important, I think. So we've got Asheville, um, New York, Boston, Indiana, another Berlin. Yes, yes, hello. Lovely to see you here. Vancouver, loving it. And now the controversy begins. Do we like coffee or tea? Is it coffee or tea people here today in the chat? You like coffee or tea better?
Tea.
Just straight up. We're not end of conversation. Oh, Thieves Tea. This is a good one, indeed. And both. Yeah. It depends on the time of day, depends on the circumstances. I'm a bit sick, so the tea's going now. And we like dogs or cats. Dogs or cats. Dogs or cats. Oh, Beck's coming in super strong answer. Yes. Okay. I
I
think we've got
enjoy
a
the
takedown.
full caps answers. This feels good.
Get out the way. Yeah, cats for Kate. We'll hopefully see some of their cats making cameos as we go along. Um, love it. I am a former cat mommy as well. But yeah, we all love our babies. Are there any other babies? Do we have other animal kingdom loves that are not dogs or cats? Canaries. See? There we go, Chris. Anticipating my question. Good job. Any other animal babies? All birds. Yeah, birds are wonderful. Um, I have to admit that my partner and I walk around our apartment quoting birds, like the like internet parrots. Like we do bacon pancakes, and the one that was like, "What the fuck?" If you know, you know. If you don't, you might think I'm crazy, but the neurospicy. Indeed, indeed. I'm so excited to have everyone here. So just a reminder, do please put yourselves on grid view. And you've noticed already, some of us are popping off mute. This is super casual. This is a meet and greet. Yeah, there's a puppy. Um, we're here to just meet you and talk about you. And yes, I have some prompts, of course, but I also really encourage you to bring your questions, bring your curiosity. We're excited to share what Anodyne looks like for the year. We're excited to share ourselves with you, and we're excited to answer questions about what it's like to be, behind the scenes inside a literary magazine. I apologize in advance. I've been a little sick, as I said, so I may not be as verbose as usual, but this team has got it. And so we will definitely be enjoying our time with you today. And definitely keep the chat alive as much as you like, but feel free to come off mute whenever. Um, so my first question for the group is to go ahead and give intros. And we're honestly a small enough group that everybody can do it. So as you feel, please come off mute. Give yourself just a quick intro. We've already done where you are, so don't worry about that. Your intro should include, your genre of choice or, where your work tends to lie. And I'm also curious, what your favorite film is and why, because I've been watching a lot of movies being sick. So I'll start first. So, I'm Veronica Zora Kiran. I'm the co-founder of Anodyne magazine and current editor-in-chief. Um, and my genre actually goes all over the place, but I'm working on my first novel. So we're going long form for the first time in 8 years. I haven't written something this long, a long time. So that's quite daunting and exciting. And my favorite film currently, and has held the number one spot for a while, is Cloud Atlas. And I love it because, and this is where we get into the fun meat of it. So please share why. I love it because I think it's an incredible piece of work addressing how very much humanity and history is interconnected. I think that's a really important perspective that a lot of people um tend to not think about, especially in this very like hyper individualized society. But I really feel strongly that we're all interconnected. I'm a firm believer in the butterfly effect, and that like my moment in this world is yes, but a blip, and yet also tied very much with who has come before me and who will come after me. Um, and Cloud Atlas, the book, is also an incredible read, structured different from the film. So if you've watched one and not the other, I can suggest both. So please, for introductions, just come on off mute. I will toss it to the team first, just because they should be a little more prepared from the rest. For the community, you're not obligated to introduce yourself, but we really welcome it. Who you are, what's your genre, favorite film, and why.
I'll go. First of all, this is Samson, my firstborn. He got very excited by all of the noise and wanted to join in. I'm Kate. My pronouns are they, she. Hey, buddy, and hopefully he'll let me talk over him and his cute butt. Um, and I am a creative fellow for this year. Really excited to be here, and it's just such a joy to be in this community. I can't even tell you how much joy it brings to my heart. My genre of choice has always been fiction, but that has shifted into nonfiction. And then also, as of like 3 weeks ago, poetry. So it's definitely a genre that it's so funny. I've just gone around telling everybody my whole life I'm not a poet, even though I read poetry and I write like every other genre. But then, honestly, reading submissions for this round with all the amazing poetry you've been getting, I was like, wait, what am I doing? So, poetry might be my like newest genre that I'm exploring and having a lot of fun with. I think maybe because I've just never identified as a poet, it gives a sort of liberation to the whole experience. Um, and then my favorite film is probably Portrait of a Lady on Fire. If anybody has seen that, it is just a poem in motion, and it is, I think, the most perfect cinematic experience ever. And it's also super gay, so I think I answered all the questions.
I'll go next. Hi everyone. I'm Krista Lay. You can just call me Krista. My pronouns are they, them. I consider myself, I borrowed this language from a friend of mine, Emma Copley Eisenberg, who calls herself a bitextual because she writes prose and like nonfiction and fiction, but I like to call myself a tritextual because I'll try writing anything like at least twice to know if I like it. So Kate, I very much like identify with this. Like I love poetry. I think I have the part like the heart and passion of a poet, but it's definitely the universe is like, no, you need to work on fiction right now. But I would say I consider myself a nonfiction writer by like trade because most of my publications are nonfiction, but I'm working on like Veronica is a novel. I have like three projects going on at once, which is crazy. Um, I've never written anything this long form for a novel, so it's also like very nerve-wracking. And my favorite film, I have a bunch, but I'm gonna do Mary and Max for this one because not a lot of people know about it. And it's this animated film by Adam Elliott, who's an Australian, like it's like claymation. But it's like claymation for adults. And it's one of the like best, like very human films that I've seen in a very long time. It stars Toni Collette and Philip Seymour Hoffman before he died. And it's just a beautiful, it's very like triggering because it's a lot of hard topics, but I think in terms of like noticing the human condition, I think it is such a beautiful film and I recommend it. And he put out Memoir of a Snail, I think, a couple years back, which is very similar and I think at like a more better production level, but Mary and Max is still my favorite. So that's me.
I, I guess I can go next. Hi, everybody. I'm Sophia, and I'm the marketing intern. at Anodyne. So, sorry, John, were you right? I can't lie, I'm like a student right now, so I'm doing a lot of like papers on like close reading and stuff like that. But I really definitely want to write fiction one day. I'm thinking about kind of pursuing journalism for grad school, so definitely trying to like dip my toes into writing journalism as well. And I've been really enjoying that journey so far. And then favorite film, it's really hard for me, but this year I watched the new Frankenstein movie and I love everything and anything Mary Shelley. So, and anything gothic. So it was just very my vibe. And anything in that kind of like gothic Frankenstein universe is definitely up my alley. So yeah, it's a really good film.
Oh, then I guess am I the last one from the team to go? All right, cool. So hello everyone. I'm Elizabeth Yatsishin Owen. My pronouns are she, her. I will lie and say that my location is Leipzig because it'll be there in like 3 weeks. So for now, it's that. But what I mostly write is literary fiction and kind of like Kate as well. I'm getting into poetry. I started this thing like a New Year's resolution, I guess, last year, where I thought I'm going to write a poem every single day for a year. And the first one I write is just going to be ass. But by December 31st, hopefully it'll be better. Of course, I made it to like April and then like just gave up. But I'm doing it again this year. And now I'm kind of very happy, like with what I'm, well, not very happy, that would be a lie, but like I'm halfway happy with what I'm doing. So we'll see how that progresses, I guess. And favorite film is very tricky. But I think right now it would be Drive My Car, and I want to say the director is Ryusuke Hamaguchi, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, which is kind of tricky for me because it's based on a short story by Haruki Murakami, and I have a very love-hate relationship with him. I think the way he writes is beautifully, if you're willing to take with kind of a pinch of salt his how he portrays women, which is that's a whole separate conversation, frankly. But the way the film is done is really, really just it's so beautiful. I don't even care that it's 3 hours long. Like it's just absolutely gorgeous, and the cinematography is fantastic. The music is fantastic. So yeah, I can fully recommend. Yeah, should I pass the ball to someone, or Veronica? Do you
I
want?
would, yeah, I would say like if other community members would like to introduce themselves and have a moment to be seen, we really welcome you to do so. And yeah, Good Dink and Flex has already come off mute, so let's go for it.
Yes, hi, I'm Flux. I'm currently in Berlin. My pronouns are they, them. Yeah, I write psychological and social horror. Usually I'm an editor or I work in journalism. Started working in journalism in 2016. And yeah, but usually I write nonfiction and I just started dabbling into fiction in 2022. And yeah, I really enjoy it. And my favorite movie, or one of my favorite movies, is one that's called Speak No Evil, the original version from 2023. And I really like it because I'm interested in the intersection between psychology and horror and how the psyche, yeah, can create its own horrors in our mind. And yeah, that's it.
Hi everyone, my name is Bex. I use they, he pronouns. Genre has been a bit up in the air. I know I've contributed poetry to Anodyne. I've got a Shakespeare theater background, so I suppose it was a surprise to nobody but myself that poetry was the first thing. But I'm currently in rewrites for my first novel as well. I have been focusing a lot in theater because I just got a small grant from my state arts commission to start a streaming company and produce my own theater. So I'm working on that, and also like releasing my writing on that as well as like a little bonus. Um, so that has been like taking up most of my brain, but I am working on some fiction. I also wrote my first like nonfiction pieces. I've started blogging on being trans and aro ace in Shakespeare and in theater. Um,
And what was the last thing? Film. Again, theater has been like so much in my brain. I have been going back and forth between n the animated Nimona, which was so freaking good. One of my old standbys is Lord of the Rings, the extended editions, of course. Um, but the as far as like a new one that I've seen recently, the 2024 Count of Monte Cristo out of France does not have a wink link in the film. It's another one of those like it's like 2.5 hours. I had no idea. It's gorgeous on every level. So freaking good. Highly recommend.
Hi, I'm Liz. I use she, her pronouns. I actually run a magazine called Cope Magazine. It's a creative magazine for people with chronic illnesses. So, like, that's kind of the niche. As far as my medium goes, I'm not actually a writer. I actually prefer, I'm an illustrator, but I have been trying to get into graphic medicine, which is the intersection of comics and healthcare. So it kind of like makes, I don't know, uh, medical narratives like more accessible and relatable to people. Um, and then as far as my favorite movie goes, I'm pretty basic. Like I love Ponyo. So I watch that like a few times a month because it's just brings me comfort.
All right. So as we're diving in, I want to kind of swing it back to the team because I've had them captive in my clutches for 2 months now. Actually, Sophia a little bit longer. So for the community, Sophia came on in the middle of the crazy end of year time period and just like it was just like full on like diving in, let's do this, let's figure it out. We had to do handoff, just circumstantially, and then the rest of the team came on starting in January, what was it, third or fifth or something, third I think. Yeah, so I've had you all here for 2 months. And I'd love for you to share like what you think makes our community unique because I've been swimming in it for years, right? Like I hold kind of like this vision. I know where I want it to go, but then that means sometimes it's kind of hard to like really like feel the heartbeat of the moment. So I'd love to hear from any of you, like what you think is making our community unique right now in this era.
I'll go first. I think the fact that it is community is what makes it so important and different. I think when we're thinking about publishing our work, bringing our work to the world, it's such a patriarchal system and such an inaccessible, just really messed up system. And I think for so long in my life, I thought, okay, I have to write to the standards of this system and I have to like get through the gatekeepers of this system. And it's going to be a solo journey and it's going to be hard and it's going to be full of rejection. Um, and I think having a literary community, having a creative community that is putting forth work and amplifying voices and being transparent about those processes, being transparent about equity, being transparent about our stories, it's transformative. It changes the whole industry. It changes the whole understanding of what it is to bring work into the world. And for me, I think it's felt so gratifying to be a part of that because I definitely was captive to the system for so long. And I think I'm still recovering from that. I think that kind of recovery takes a really long time for a creative person. So I think the fact that we are creating community while also amplifying our voices is so vital. It's not just getting an acceptance and having your work appear in an issue and then everything is just detached and there's no engagement. I mean, the times I've been published have been exactly like that. I'm not engaging with any real person. It doesn't feel like I get the journal in the mail and that's it. And it feels great and celebratory, but then you're like, what do I do with this? What's the point? So I think Anodyne just feels like we are putting it in motion and making what creativity should be a community. that just feels so good to be a part of. And it's only been 2 months, but it just feels so healing.
I love what you said, just to like highlight a quote, Kate, that like when you work against dominant culture, inherently it feels like and often can be very lonely because of that like pressure and separation, like the intentional separation, to the point where it like gossip has been made a stigmatized thing because women gathering together and talking is dangerous to patriarchy. So yeah, I think it's a really beautiful point. I'm just imagining all of us kind of seeking out alone. I think we all did at first seek out alone, not knowing where to go, and then have stumbled our way into community. And I know many of you are in beautiful communities, have found your way into wonderful spaces. But that aloneness that comes from that first step outside dominant culture sucks. Um, I would love to find a way to push Anodyne into a place where like we can be that initial refuge. Like people don't have to go it alone. You don't have to feel so afraid. Please, who else
I I
would
feel
like to
like I
add?
have to go next now because I'm the community curator. Um, so yeah, for full transparency, I have only, like Veronica said, have been here for like 2 months. And I would say I came in very hard swinging because I'm someone who, um, I feel like a lot of us, when we find Anodyne, have already sought out other spaces to be heard and like be published or like I think in the literary world, as Kate has said, it's very like it's a gatekeepery place. It is a very gatekeeping industry to be in. It's super conservative, and I think one of the things that I've noticed, especially post-COVID, and like as we have like quote unquote returned to normal, is that there were lack of, everyone's returning to office, there's lack of accessibility. And I think one of the things that I really enjoyed during COVID is that it highlighted this really strong need for people who are disabled or chronically ill and like needed a space to tell their stories and communicate with others. And so I am happy that Veronica brought me on because no worries, Chris. Um, part of being in community with others is to also curate and also like bring others in conversation with each other. And so I'm really happy that Liz is here from Cope. We are, I think one of the things that I have learned is that in bigger, larger community spaces, I have been published places, and I would say, like Kate, there have only been a few that have really gone out of the way to like introduce themselves and edit. And as someone who is also an editor for another literary magazine, for a small lit magazine, I'm a CNF editor at Blood Tree. And I don't want that. I want people to know that like they can use resources. How many times have people like in publishing, like just saw your piece, as Kate said, grabbed it, and then like you never hear from them again. And something that I think we're trying to do is our community and our let's say like our community and our contributors become part of the family. And we always first go, we're trying to do workshops and like education and even these like more informal meet and greets because there is a need for people to communicate and connect. Yeah, love the Substack chat. If you are on Substack, please join us. We have like nice little communities. This week, I think I put up something about Black History Month. So if you have any art that you love from like Black writers, one of my favorite poems that I put in there is Angel Nafis by Angel Nafis. And it's so beautiful. So Kate and Elizabeth, if you want to check that out, it's such good poetry. But I think for me, it's important to still have a space for us because, Veronica and I had a meeting earlier this week, and Veronica's like, I'm sick. And I'm like, well, we couldn't meet. We couldn't meet without like the digital world if you like if this were in person. And I think that conscientiousness of this population and like the power that we have because like we are stuck inside a lot or we do have flares and I think the power of bringing us together is greater than having us apart. And I think providing those opportunities, especially for cross connections and like collaborations. Like right now, I was telling Veronica this. I have a reading tonight with another magazine that we're potentially working with, and cross pollination, even in real life is amazing. And so I want to help build more of that, and I would love to see more of the community members and contributors, be part of it and take an active part in shaping what they want from us as the masthead. So yeah, I love nurturing that, and I want more spaces for us, both in person and online. And there really aren't that many places left. Um, Other than I think like maybe Kenyon does online, but it's not as like disability friendly. I would say McCormick Writing Center has online and they have been really great. But I would like Anodyne to be part of the conversation because we have very, legitimate concerns and needs and things that we actually want to talk about. So happy to be part of it and happy to hear what you all want from the community now that we're building it together.
All right, I'm a bit nervous to follow that because that's just like summarized everything I kind of wanted to say, but just way more eloquently than I ever could. But yeah, I don't know. I think one thing I've been thinking is that so most of my work with kind of health equity space was prior to Anodyne in a more sort of very formal medical research kind of way. And I mean, there are certain perspectives you'll get in that field that you won't necessarily get in the more creative field. And for me, what I've been seeing over the past few years is there's very, very much this kind of growing body of research covering like the more social political elements maybe of health equity, but in the art spaces, personally, I haven't seen it so much. And so that's why I think what Anodyne is doing is such a really special thing, and especially the work Krista is doing, like props to you, because I feel like when you were saying about the I don't know, a magazine, for example, publishing your piece, and you feel so euphoric and you feel so wonderful, and then they publish it, and it's like crickets. That's it is what it is. What can you do? I understand it's how the industry works, but building this community around art, specifically in this field where community is such an important thing, so you don't feel so kind of isolated. I think it's a really, really special, really cool thing. So yeah, my 2 cents anyway. And yes, it doesn't have to be that way. Is that right? Veronica, but yes. All right. Sophia, should I?
Yeah, I was nervous about adding on because you all said so many good things. But I think just like kind of summing up, I think what I think really is just that everyone cares so much. And I think what I've noticed when I encounter magazines, especially magazines with a theme, is that they treat it often as a topic. But I think what I really appreciate about what Anodyne does is that we treat health equity as kind of a lived experience, something that has kind of like a plurality to it in the sense of like voice, language, and perspective. And I think it's so important that we don't treat health just as something that's clinical or apolitical. And I really appreciate that we even in our like meetings, we discuss it as something that's like relational, social. It's something that's deeply personal, and that's why it's just so important that we have that kind of combination of like literary craft and health justice, which kind of sets us apart because we want to amplify those voices who don't get heard. And it's very empowering just to know that, even in our weekly meetings, we're all kind of like in different parts of the world, and it's hectic, like scheduling things, but it's just at the end of the day, like it's so clear that we're all so passionate about what we do as a team. And it's just been really rewarding. And I'm very grateful to be here.
Thanks to the team for answering. I'd love to hear also from the community if you all want to reply what you think. Like several of you are, I know you. I've seen you throughout the what 2.5 years now. Like you keep coming back, which I love and adore. Um, I'd love to hear what you think. What makes our community unique, as you like.
Yeah, I will also echo the community part because I've been in a few literary magazines, but this has been the only one that like really focuses on building community. And like Anodyne was the first play like magazine that I had worked with that like we had a contributor meeting and I was like, oh, that's fun. And then I went and I was like, that was so cool. Because I'm from a theater background, I'm very, very used to like gathering around the writing and gathering around the stories. Like that's you do a table read at the top of any rehearsals, you're doing readings in person or over Zoom as you're developing a play. Like that community is part of a lot of my literary and performance background. And so like not getting that from some of the literary magazines, it did feel like very sort of like isolating and crickets and like, okay, I don't know what's in like but Anodyne, like y'all have been so like transparent and like communicative and I'm like I always know like how things are going and even if I'm like out of the email inbox for weeks, like I can come back and be like, oh hey, okay, cool, and like catch back up. So like, yeah, it's been great.
So I will jump in to kind of progress like just what Bex was talking about because yeah, for those that don't know yet, we do host a contributor meeting before publishing so that everyone gets to know each other. And we also like provide support for, like what do you do now that you've been published? Like how do you use that as a springboard for other opportunities? Because a lot of people don't realize that like you get caught in the celebration and the celebration is so important, but it's also a moment in time that you can use to reach out to a publisher, you can use to get your next piece, you can use the very least it should go on your byline, and a lot of people don't even do that. And so right now in our cycle we did some cycle adjustment. As you I think most of you know, my co-founder left in August of last year amicably. She's actually still involved. She's doing a little bit of mentorship with the team and maybe actually at the contributor meeting in month and a half, 2 months. So, in good ways, still connected. But so we are currently in the slog of deciding what goes into the next issue. So we're open for submissions in January and are about to send out our decisions on Monday, actually. And so specifically, Kate and Elizabeth have been alongside me making those decisions. So philosophically, just to again peel back the veneer, we believe in a three-leg stool system for two reasons. Tiebreakers are always useful. There have definitely been times where I feel passionate about a piece and somebody thinks I'm cuckoo bananas and we have to duke it out. And also we ask for our readers to recuse themselves if we know one of the contributors. We don't want any bias in that decision. And so if there were less than three, then it would start to create a different kind of bias when somebody recuses themselves. So that's why we always have three readers for our whole history of our magazine. So I'd love to just like take a second with Kate and Elizabeth specifically, like, how's it going? What's it been like reading all of these submissions? What's standing out? Not, with no spoilers, but like what's standing out to you? Like for me personally, I'm noticing that like the socio-political temperature of the world coming into the writing and into the creative work that we've been receiving this time around. And Honestly, so from my perspective, I found a lot more long form work than usual. Usually get really heavy on the poetry, and this time we had a lot of long form pieces, like a lot of long form pieces. I was very, very like interested and excited about that. But like, please, like, just hop off mute. What are you noticing? What's the process been like? Um, how's it feeling? Yeah.
Um, I'm really liking how much we're kind of like politely arguing with each other in the comments of each piece. I don't know. I think that's really important. I think, like, my God, how boring would it be if we just read a piece and we were like, fantastic, yes, or no, absolutely not. You know what I mean? I really enjoy actually having the discussion and having the debate. I think that's something like it scratches my brain a little bit, you know? And that's something that's very, I think, very special. And also, like, feeling that it's okay to do that is such a thing because I feel like going into this, I didn't really necessarily know the behind the scenes of a literary magazine. I thought, okay, maybe it's going to be very hierarchical and very like you should only like speak when you're spoken to kind of thing. And it's absolutely not even slightly that. So I'm very happy to see that that's the way. And yeah, it's led to yeah, I'm looking forward to Monday and some more debates. um, Kate, I don't know if that's you're on the same page,
Yeah,
but
Kate's just where so Kate, how far are you done or like where are you in your read through? By the way, we received 99 submissions this time around. So like that's the like number gauge. Where are you at? Are you done?
Yeah, I am at 88 right now. I've been doing
Okay.
like 11 a day. So I think I'll be finishing up reviewing everything today or tomorrow. And yeah, so everybody knows our process has been Veronica and Elizabeth have gone in and reviewed things first, and I've kind of been following behind. And so for me, I think it's been really
Because Kate is acting as guest editor for this issue specifically. So
yeah.
that's always been also our process where the guest editor comes in and gives like a final say, but we don't hit the button yet because we still have to like still have the final fight.
Yes, and I think actually that's been the part that's been hard for me because I am so collaborative that I've had to remind myself like, oh, I'm getting a final say here. I'm getting like it's important for me to use that voice and perspective. So the challenge has been to not look at anything that's been said already, not look at the notes and just like go in purely from my perspective. So I've enjoyed that challenge a lot, and I've really loved the ones that are very controversial, as you say, like divided. I think for me, every piece feels really tender and vulnerable and honest. And I think that's been the gratifying part of the process is knowing like with our theme and with the community that we're building, going into every single piece feels really sacred and it feels really important. And it's not just, I've worked for literary magazines and gone through slush piles, and I hate that they're even called slush piles. It's terrible. And just that felt so impersonal and it felt so hasty, and this feels like something I really want to take my time with because I know that the creators who have brought forth this work really took their time and have brought a lot of truth. So I think that's been probably the most moving part about it is just the range of our lived experience and also just the honesty and the ability to go into those experiences and talk about them bravely. So yeah, it's been I think hard to be an editor because I've just loved sitting with the stories themselves. Um, some have made me laugh. I've really loved that. Some have surprised me, some have challenged me. It's just it's a gift, going through what everybody's sharing, and it's hard. It's hard to make choices. But I think it's going to be a really great issue. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have some really great meets. Oh, Liz, please,
Can
yes.
I ask a
Please,
question?
please. Absolutely,
Um,
please do.
so obviously like building community is huge within, developing a magazine. What do you do about people that like resubmit their work like ev for like every single issue? Because as I've published 3 issues now and we're coming into our fourth, and we've had like a lot of great repeats, but it's like I don't want to constantly publish the same people and have others feel like there's not room for new voices, but also like I don't want to not accept people that are like very active parts of our community. So I'm wondering maybe how you have handled that or how you think I should handle it.
Happy to start with my 2 cents, and then of
Yeah.
course, like, so the team came in kind of with that framework already existing.
Hmm.
But I think it's been pretty easy. So Elizabeth and Kate have seen that in Submittable, I will call out and say like, oh, we have a repeat contributor here. And I always go, what do I do? Yay!
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. We with somebody we've published before. There's also the mushroom guy, which I'll get to in a second. But the the when we see people who have contributed before, that's exciting. I Bex was published twice by us. We want repeat work in our magazine. We love it.
Yeah.
I think we have a very clear rigor. Like there are pieces that we've gotten, like Kate, you were just saying, there was this piece that stuck with you that you love that you wish we could publish, but it's not on theme. So we have a very, very clear like frame that we work in as far as like what fits the magazine and what doesn't. And then from there, if it qualifies, I don't think we like if it's at editorial level, like I think both of you are starting to see now, like the question when we started was like, how do we know when we've reached our limit? And we haven't had to impose a limit because basically the cross section of, is it on theme? So is it written by somebody who identifies as FLINTA, and is it on the topic of health in some respect, right?
Right.
And is it high enough quality for what we want to do? Which we do sometimes work with the person. If we like feel passionate about it, we will like editorialize with them. And so we haven't actually had to say no to past contributors. And I honestly don't want to, because I believe our past contributors are an enormous part of our community and a very important part of it. The mushroom guy, however, so then to take it, because this is why I actually thought you were asking it first, and so I'll just bring this story in. He didn't submit this time. This is the first issue he didn't submit. This man who is from all of that, so like we don't try to like force identity onto somebody, but if we're not sure, we'll look at your portfolio and we're kind of just like, like, is there any but they're always illustrations of mushrooms, like Fantasia mushrooms, like little, like just like they're gonna just do like a little dance in Bambi. Like they're just always these mushrooms. And we're like, I'm not is the theme? I don't what and so then we like that's why we've dug so much into his portfolio. Last time around, he did send an illustration of women working in the field with like medical masks, like COVID masks on. And we were like, that's interesting, but this is the same guy, isn't it? And then we looked and we're like, what, that was published in another magazine already. Like, so why is it so like just lack of reviewing submission requirements in that particular case. Like he comes back almost every time. I'm sorry, Kate and Elizabeth, that you didn't get to see this person's work this time. He didn't come back. Yeah. How does that land, Liz, for you?
No, that's like a super helpful perspective. So it's also just me and one other person editing right now. So like I also think that, asking somebody else that I know to help sort through might you know, help ease some disagreements because that obviously comes up when you really are passionate about one person's piece and they're like, "Oh, it's actually not that strong." And then, I'm basically like, "Well, it's on theme." And yeah. Do you publish people that are under the age of 18?
Um, no, we don't.
Okay.
I've had one person come through. There's actually someone this round who we'll have to investigate further. I don't think we're going to publish them. The work is incredible. The work is incredible. I'm pretty sure they're a minor because they said my teacher said to that I ought to be writing. Not professor, but teacher. So like it was just I'm like, I think this
Right.
person's but but no. We technically could we if we had like, like a signature from a parent for up to like age 16, that like gap there you can do.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I
because
see it quite
we
dicey.
did publish somebody that was, I think she's 16 or 17 for our last issue, but I don't know. It's just like sometimes these questions come up after you publish somebody because we're relatively new. So, but I
So
appreciate
one thing I wanted to jump in and ask
it.
Liz, how often are you publishing?
Okay, so our first issue we got like, I don't know, 250 like submissions. So we took all of those submissions and we sorted through them. We obviously didn't accept all of them, but we split volume one into two issues. And that was September. And then we decided to do a winter issue, which doing submissions during the October slide, not that great because we didn't get super high engagement for that. We still got like, I don't know, maybe 60 pieces or something like that. And then we just published that in February. And now submissions for our spring issue are open, and we're hoping to publish that in May. So we're trying to figure out our timing and like have things be sort of like seasonal. I'd like to just do four issues a year and have them be smaller. But I don't know, we're still finding our pacing and obviously like having a chronic illness, multiple of so it flares come up. So yeah.
How long
How
do you
many
stay open for your submissions usually? Or like I know you
like a
said you're
month and a half? I don't know, but like is that enough time or not? Like what do
we stay
you
open
do?
for a tight month.
Oh, okay.
I see literary magazines that are open for like 2 weeks. Like I think
Oh
that like
wow.
eventually, as you're saying, Liz, like when you start to feel like you're getting like whoa, like way too many. Like
Yeah,
we've gotten upwards of like 130 before in a month. And if we start to really slipstream like further in that direction, then we would start to tighten the availability. Yeah.
right. Sorry, can I ask one more question? This is like so helpful. Um, what do you guys do about like gruesome content or maybe content that like veers into self-harm? Because for our spring issue, we're trying to talk about like the body and like perceptions of, oh, yes, trigger warning. Sorry, I won't get into it, but like just like perceptions of like how to love your body sometimes when it's like super difficult to do. Um, so yeah, I don't.
I would say the reason I put trigger warning in there is because, and I think we probably do this, right, for submissions for Anodyne. You should usually, so I don't know how many people haven't, I mean, I'm sure you all have if you're here, but usually when you submit to a lit magazine, you'll have room for a cover letter. And so what we do is in the cover letter, we ask, this is also like we ask for what you should be doing in your cover letter is it's plain. You basically write, Dear magazine and editors, this is the piece that I'm sending out. This is how, or like these are the pieces or poems that I'm sending out. Here the title of the thing, like the pieces. Here are the word count or like line count of each pieces. And then the simultaneous submission. And if there is gruesome warning, you go CW or TW and then write this piece might have, elements of like gore or like, bodily harm or like medical violence. And I think that at least for what I've had to do, yeah, you should include it in your cover letters. If you don't, I don't know what we do, but I know that in the past, we've kind of automatically excluded those in like some of my other jobs because if number one, it shows that like clearly they're not reading the magazine guidelines, and like
Right.
that's pretty disrespectful to like us as editors and like us as like community members and readers. And some people forget, but like I think it's better to just have that in there and like list it in your guidelines, especially because like if it is in your guidelines when you submit, it automatically gives you a no to like
Okay.
if someone's piece did not have a content or trigger warning and it was really affected because you're also going to want to put that on the website, you
Yeah.
know? or yeah, if there's a trigger warning. But yeah, I think oh yeah, sorry, Bex, it's the you want to put the pieces, like the pieces and like the word or line count. You want to put the topic warning slash trigger warning if there is one, and then you want to put like simultaneous submission if it is one, and like your bio. So that's my 2 cents. And
Mm.
also your previous question of like contributors. I know we tend to like redo, but I think depending on your pacing of your issue, I know some magazines are like, if you submitted something and you were published, you cannot be published for another 6 months or something. And so
Mm.
that could be a strategy you also use. If you, I would say that's more for like magazines that are paying because obviously like you
Mm.
can't, it's the budget for you want new writers, but it's totally up to you. Sorry for like busting in there, but trigger warning is very important.
Yeah.
I think that was all really great, Krista, and obviously highly useful. Um, Kate and Elizabeth, we had a slight discussion about this, particularly around one piece. So if you're willing to surface that a little bit in this round, like what we've recently seen.
Yeah, I think I know which piece you're talking about. I think for me it's so interesting this conversation because I actually couldn't read the piece because I get really faint when talking about like medical trauma or like medical experiences. And that's something I've kept in mind. I was like, all right, I will come across that in this pool and I have like really good boundaries around it and I can like work with it. But I think I'm not sure if this piece did have a content warning in the cover letter. I'm not sure if it did, but I do think well, we have to have those content warnings regardless, in the actual publication. But it's hard. It's a hard balance to play because on the one hand, it can be really effective and these stories can be really, really, really important to talk about. But on the other hand, as an editor, I was like, I can't make it through this piece, and I don't know if I can give it the space that it deserves. So, yeah, I guess that's just kind of my 2 cents on the situation. Um, yeah. I felt really
There's
bad.
This is life, right?
Yeah.
There's been pieces where like I will automatically just say no, not because of the triggers within, but that because the piece is opportunistic. It like you were reading and I'm like, there's no point to using these words or to having there was one with assault with SA in it. And I was like, the way it was depicted and what it wasn't on theme and it was so graphic. I was like, this is not what we're here to do, right? SA, so important to health, such a critical topic. And we've published pieces that absolutely are related to that. But this piece was like, I believe it was last issue. It might have been volume 5, but I remember we only talked about it for like a minute, and we were all like, this was not anywhere near what we intend to publish. So there's this fine line, right? Like where it's like that our purpose is to advocate for health equity. And to do that, right? It's like I've said to the team before, like my specific area of expertise is in anthropology and I study sociopolitical paradigm shifts. That is my whole brain space. I don't know why. It's just who I am. And to do that, to change people's minds, the best way to do that is by story, by understanding others' lived experience. We have to generate empathy. The best way to generate empathy is through story. A piece like that doesn't do it. Whereas a piece that like really gets into the pain of it, you can do that without being like gratuitous. Like we're not here to publish horror. We're not, and there's a place for that. There are definitely publications that love medical horror. They will publish you. Do it. But we're not here to do horror. We're here to advocate for health equity. And so does this piece serve that purpose? And so for us, that's where we're always trying to balance. And then yeah, like, is it unreadable because it's like way too far in one direction, or is it unreadable because it's a personal trigger? Like there was a piece that we actually the piece that we nominated for an award and it made finalist for the Monarch Awards this year. I cried. I wept reading that piece because it was part of my personal journey. And I'm okay with that because I want other people to feel that, right? We need better support and care that way. So anyway, soapbox done. What else can we
I
share
think
with you as we get close to the end of our time?
Sorry, Veronica, I feel I just totally interrupted you there, but I feel like gratuitous is the exact word that I was looking for, and then you said it. But like, I think serving the story is one thing. Sometimes good art will ultimately make you uncomfortable. Like that is unavoidable. And if it's a personal trigger for me, or if it's not, is kind of irrelevant, but the trigger warning is always appreciated. But if it's just there and it doesn't benefit the narrative arc, or it doesn't benefit the prose in any way, it's kind of like, what are the author's intentions here? Is it shock value? Is it opportunistic? Is it whatever? Sometimes it's not, but it's a very fine line, and I think a case-by-case basis is the best way to do it. But yeah, gratuitous is the word. That was a lot of words just to say I agree.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Love this team, obviously. I'm obsessed. But also love our community, love seeing familiar faces, love having new faces here. We're so excited to potentially do something alongside Cope Magazine in the future. Love that you came, Liz. And we have a lot of upcoming events already planned for this year. We're like hustling. Krista is out there like swinging and hitting them out of the park. We've recently moved to Luma, so you'll notice on our website when you hit that button, basically TLDR, like there's community and there's no reason for me to send you a personal email like at intervals before the events and afterwards. Like a machine can do that and it's okay. You know that we still love you. So we moved to Luma so that I can not not go insane before events. So you'll notice that we have 3 incredible events already scheduled, including one for the Leipzig book fair here in Germany. It will be free. It's at Orinoco Books in Leipzig. Thanks to Elizabeth, who connected us to this awesome bookstore. Like they're like so great and wonderful. And yes, Crystal will be at AWP in the States. So we've got like representation on 2 continents as the book season rolls out. Please check out our Substack chat. Stay active there. We're so happy to hear from you all the time. If you have ideas or suggestions, use our contact form on our website, use our Substack chat, use our socials. Like we want to hear from you. And then as always, to our former contributors, if you ever have work like Bex, when you have really something that you want to share as far as the new, like, so cool, we of course we will share it. And in fact, if you look at our stories today, we just shared a new piece by our volume 2 guest editor. So we're always here for other mags and for other work too. So with that, I release you to your Saturdays and to your weekends. You'll find the replay soon where replays are found. And with that, I think I want to say thank you. Feel free to please come off mute and leave a last word or anything.
Thank you so much. I got a lot out of this, so I'm appreciative.
Wonderful. Happy to. All right, dears.
Bye.
We'll see you all soon.